Okay friends, here we go! This is the review for Knuckles and Metal Sonic in the Jakks Pacific 4-inch line. Now first, let's start with the packaging. Neither of these guys came to me with their boxes because that would have made the package much bigger and shipping more expensive, but I did ask Zeustafox to send me the card. This is specifically Metal Sonic's card. Let's reposition the camera a little bit to get a better view of it. And there is nothing particularly special about the card. It's very much like the one from Wave 1, except of course that it shows off the figures from this wave instead. And this is where I will criticize Jakks Pacific for their redistribution model, because only half of this wave actually contains new figures, Knuckles and Metal Sonic. They re-released Sonic and Tails. As if there aren't a ton of beloved characters in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise that you could stick here. How about Amy Rose, one of the original Sonic characters who's been around since 1993? Like, you know, that's kind of an important one, don't you think? Or, you know, like, I hear that the next wave is going to have Mighty the Armadillo in it. I mean, Mighty the Armadillo! You know how many Mighty the Armadillo customs I made over the years? I know for a fact people love that character. He could have gotten the spot. Or, you know, like, anyone, like, oh, I don't know, maybe a certain Bat character who's kind of been promised a figure since 2008, 2012, something around there, and like for some reason something keeps on happening where everybody just loses the license before they get around to making a figure of her. You know, maybe, you know, like you have options, you have characters to make is what I'm trying to get at. And although Sonic actually comes with a new accessory in the snowboard accessory, that's kind of a cool one, Tails just comes with another item bubble. The only difference is the picture inside of it. It's the super sneaker instead of the invincibility. That's kind of stupid. Like, it's not even a significantly different accessory. That sucks. So yeah, like the Tails one doesn't need to be here. This spot definitely should have been Amy Rose. You have Metal Sonic, Amy Rose and Metal Sonic came out in the same game and they're associated with each other. They should have been together. Like, that's what I'm saying. It was a poor decision to limit the wave to these characters. And like having two re-releases, like one re-release is okay, but two is just out. Now, I might forgive Jakks Pacific if this distribution actually has to do with the pandemic, because they knew that their first wave had a hard time getting to stores, so a lot of people might have missed it, so they put the two main iconic characters back in the second wave for people who missed it the first time. If that's the case, I might be willing to forgive them, but that's really, really a stretch. Okay, so with that done, let's actually get a look at the figures themselves. Okay, so let's start the review with Knuckles, good old-fashioned Sonic's best friend. I call him Sonic's best friend because Tails is like his little brother, so that transcends best friend. You know, like we're kind of having the OKK, a little buddy argument. I feel like my camera angle is a little bit off here because I feel like the Guardian swoosh is being unfairly covered, so let's reposition the camera so you can see it a little bit more naturally. There we go, that's a slightly more natural viewing angle. Alright, so let's talk about the accessory first, the Master Emerald. This is pretty good, but it just kind of looks like a really big Chaos Emerald. Hold on, I brought this up. This is the Master Emerald that was made by Jakks Pacific, and if you notice, despite being made for a larger scale, the Jazzwares Emerald is actually a little bit bigger. So that's weird. And also the cut's different. Now I think in the video games the Master Emerald is just a bigger version of the Chaos Emerald model. So this is actually more accurate to its depiction in the video games, particularly Sonic Adventure. But I did like the fact that the Master Emerald in the Jazzwares line had a unique cut compared to the Chaos Emeralds. That made it different and stand out. I would also like to bring up the scale of this emerald, because it's kind of small. It's smaller than Knuckles' head. Now, the Master Emerald size depiction is rather inconsistent. Usually it's the size of a coffee table, which is actually kind of ludicrous. Like, how much could that possibly be worth if you think about it, if it was an actual emerald? But yeah, like here, it's like, you know, it just feels small. Even though I do recall in Sonic Adventure 2, Knuckles was holding the thing in his hand and it was like this size, so I don't know, maybe Knuckles just has the ability to magically alter its size. Although, aside from the fact that he does have a big old open hand in his right hand, but it's not really suited for holding this thing. Like, you can sort of balance it in there, but you know, there's no real stable way for him to hold it, unfortunately. And yeah, it has a hole in the bottom, so it can plug into the Green Hill base set. Perhaps later on I'll show it there. But enough about the accessory. Now we can actually talk about Knuckles. And I think so far this might be the weakest release. Okay, so this is where pre-assumed posing is really hurting it. First of all, Knuckles' head is kind of cocked to the side. I don't know if that's an individual error with this figure, or if they actually had him tilting his neck, because, like, there's no wiggle room there. Like, it genuinely seems like his head was molded to, like, when his body is perfectly straight, his head is just tilted to the side like that. Like, he does have a really nice sculpted smile, so maybe he just has his head cocked cockily, but it's upsetting. It's just slightly off center, and it's upsetting. The other issue is that his elbows are bent like a full-on 90 degrees, like, and slightly beyond 90 on his right arm. So, like, they're always up, and there isn't enough slack with his spine to actually really allow his arms to move past them. They kind of have to move outwards, and then like ooh, 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 ooh. Like, that looks awkward and weird. I'd hate to say it, but this is one of those times when I think I'm gonna have to give the award to Tomy for the better Knuckles figure, because even though there was a limit to this figure's articulation, they knew that because of the way the dreads would go would limit the arm's movements, they put the arm itself into a more natural curl. So it would look okay when it's down by his side, but you could also pick it up and have him look pretty okay when his arms are up. And you can even wiggle it forward to get past his dreads. So, you know, like, he's actually more posable. Like, remember what I said, articulation and posability are not the same thing. So, technically speaking, the arms have the same articulation in the shoulders, but because of how severely the elbows are bent, it actually limits posability a little more. This could have been solved by making the dreadlocks out of a softer material that could bend out of the way of the arms, or maybe not putting such a severe bend in those elbows in the first place. He still has wrist joints. In fact, he has one of the most easily popped off ball jointed wrists I've seen. I mean, it's not that the wrist is loose, like, it'll hold a pose if you move it around. I just find it a little bit too easy to pull off. And yeah, like, you can have him bring his hand up like he's rearing up for a punch, but then because he can't really move his head because of the dreads, like, there are limits. And on top of that, like, the neck is really irritating me. Why did they sculpt it that way? It's really distressing how his head is just so slightly off center. It's really bugging me. Really bugging me. The legs, just like Sonic, Tails, and Shadow, have pin disc hips that get all around there, and pin disc knees that afford a nice knee swivel, and ball jointed ankles that have a little bit more range, so you can get flat-footed stances. Only thing is, look at that. That knee is really floaty. I feel like that pin is going to break because they made it too long for its actual housing. It looks like the leg is disconnected, and that's really distressing me. Jakks Pacific needs to put a little more QC into this line, because I'm starting to see where they're not really putting their all into it. Because if you look at this leg, it's perfectly fine and sits naturally. On this leg, it's just floating. It's disconnected, and it's distressing. The ball jointed ankles make it so that the figure stands well and easily, and he isn't top heavy. But what's up with his tail? Why is it curled off to the side like that? That's a weird pose for the tail. That looks really weird. I don't like that at all. Why did you do that, Jakks Pacific? That looks weird. I don't like it. What did you do? Why is his tail sculpted that way? That's weird. Knuckles' tail was never sculpted that way. This is what Knuckles' tail is supposed to look like back there. Did you literally just curl it over to the side so that it would fit in the packaging better? Is that what you did? Why would you do that? That's awful. That's just plain awful. So, although, aside from that, like, the individual sculpting, like, that is a great face. The Guardian swoosh is in the right spot. His shoes are really well made. Individually, all of his parts are well made. His elbows are a little bit too severely bent, and I don't like that thing they did with his neck, but I gotta say, this is probably the weakest of the Jakks Pacific figures so far. If you need to complete the set, or you are a super duper diehard Knuckles fan, you could probably pick it up, but as far as the collection so far goes, I'm gonna say this is definitely the weakest one. Like, if you're gonna skip one, Knuckles, unfortunately, might be the one to do. Alright, so now let's bring out the one that I've been looking forward to the most. Oh yeah, we got Metal Sonic. Quick look at his accessory. It's one of the springs from Sonic Generations that would knock you back in the wrong direction if you hit them. It is spring-loaded, although I can't make it jump around like I did with Sonic Spring. It's just not shaped right for that. There is a peg hole in the back. Unfortunately, the Green Hill playset doesn't really have any pegs set on its walls. It would have been nice if there was one set on a vertical surface like this, so that it would actually look like what it does in Sonic Generations. Because when you set it this way, like, they never were like this. Like, eh. But that's fine. It looks good. It has the stripes. It has the Eggman Empire logo. It looks fine. That's a good thing. Now, Metal Sonic himself. Metal Sonic looks awesome. It's almost impossible to make an accurate rendition of Metal Sonic and not have it look cool. I love the really vibrant blue that they use for this guy, although they really should have used silver for his arms and legs, because this dull gray is not doing much for him. And it's not a severe case as Metal Sonic, as Knuckles was, but Metal Sonic does suffer from a pre-assumed stance. Let's get, like I said, he seems to be meant to stand with his hand up like this. So let's straighten that elbow out, and you can see the elbow is engineered to bend sideways rather than forward. And there's no bicep swivel. Well, there is a bicep swivel, but it's below the elbow, so even though you can rotate the bicep, you can't rotate the elbow, so it's always going to bend outwards, not forwards. Why couldn't they not put the bicep swivel in here so that it could rotate and then bend like this elbow does, forwards? Oh, although this elbow is sculpted in such a way that the bend is shallow. It's less than 90 degrees on this side. Asymmetrical elbow bending. Ah, thanks. I hate it. And, yeah, like when you try to you can bring it down so that it's by his side, but, like now his shoulder armor is drooping and it's not, like the symmetry is like off. Like Death the Kid from Soul Eater would hate this figure. I don't know how many people got that reference, but I made it and I don't care. And yeah, like there's more range in this shoulder than there is in this one. So like the shoulder symmetry is not the same. On the Jazzwares figure, this was solved by making the shoulder armor a separate piece that could rotate out of the way independently of the rest of the shoulder. So, this does like the Tomy figure does with making the shoulder a solid piece. I don't like it too much. Nope, I do not like that too much. Of course, Sculpting, fantastic. Looks great. Like I said, the dull gray is the only thing going against this figure, but the sculpt of the face looks pretty darn fantastic. Paint job on the torso is also good. They even picked out all the details on the little motor that goes in the back. That's fine. Although there was a little bit of overspray there. Maybe if I get some acetone and a cotton swab, I can get rid of that. But I got to be real careful not to damage the part I want to keep. Hips are same as always. There is a pin disc in there. It's a decently tight one. And he has knee bands with a proper swivel that goes the way you want it. And there is a ball jointed ankle in there. So, hooray! So yeah, like in terms of paint, I would have preferred silver instead of the dull gray of the plastic. And that arm, I am sorry, why is his left arm so weird? The left arm's weird, folks. Still, like, he has elbows, so the fact that they exist puts him above every other figure in the series so far. Technically speaking, in terms of raw engineering of his articulation, he's probably the best done. And weird pre-assumed stance thing aside, pretty great. Of course, you do know that after I make this video, I'm going to do a follow-up where I make an improvement on him. Just like when I did with the Jazzwares classic Metal Sonic figure, I had to repaint him to look good. I'm going to do the same thing to this guy. And I'm going to follow Art King 3000's method where he made the arms symmetrical, so I'm going to fix that too. This is a very fixable figure. Like, he's 85% perfect. Like, he's almost good. He's one of the best figures of the series. He is good. He's almost great. So I'm going to go that extra 15% and make him great. But that will be in a follow-up. As he stands, it's really cool. I can see that Metal Sonic is probably going to be one of the figures that a lot of people are going to seek out because it is genuinely good. And we've never got Metal Sonic at this scale before, so yeah, like, again, Metal Sonic. He's awesome. Everybody loves Metal Sonic. There's no way that you're not going to like this. Alright, so that is my judgment of Wave 2. Too many repeat figures. There's only 2 new ones. There should have been 3 new ones at least, so there's that. And they suffer a little bit more than the first wave did from pre-assumed poses. I hope the pre-assumed posing isn't going to be an issue come Wave 3, but, you know, that's something for future Wake Angel to figure out. Until then, this is Wake Angel 2001, signing off.